Sometime before 1:38 this afternoon, a Rottweiler dog was put into a garage on Burton Street, unbeknownst to the homeowner. The dog was put there by a family friend without the homeowner's consent. Shortly thereafter, a family friend of the homeowner stopped by the residence and entered the garage to get some property of his. When he did so, this Rottweiler dog attacked him and bit him in the arm. At that point, those people called animal control to report a vicious dog. The animal control crews went out to the Burton Street area. They found the dog. They got the dog cornered in a backyard, basically in a small grove of trees. They called for our assistance because the dog was vicious, charging at the animal control workers through the fence that they had between them and the dog, etc. When we arrived on scene, we had neighbors coming up to us saying that this dog had bit someone in the garage, had sent that person to the hospital, etc. The dog was in a small grove of trees in the backyard of a residence on Burton Street. Animal control basically had the dog confined to this grove of trees. The problem was they couldn't get to the dog to snare it because of the trees and because of the dog. The dog still was aggressive. Anytime anyone would move toward it, it would growl or charge the fence. We tried several times to coax the dog out with food. We tried to coax the dog out just close enough to get a snare around it, but because of the wooded area around it, there was no good way to get access to the dog and not risk someone else getting bit. After prolonged attempts to snare the dog or lure the dog out so it could be snared, the decision was made to taser the dog and try to neutralize the dog long enough to get a snare around it. It's not a foolproof method, but the only other option at that point was either tase it or shoot it. We attempted to taser the dog. The problem is the dog broke the taser wires. When that happened, the animal control officer didn't have the snare fully around its neck yet. The dog charged the animal control officer as well as the police officer that was on scene. The police officer and the dog was approximately 2 or 3 feet from her. She fired one round at the dog, striking it in the right shoulder. The dog then knocked the officer off a retaining wall that she was standing on and took off into a yard some distance up the road. We tried again to confine the dog, snare the dog, coax the dog with food, etc. The dog finally made its way out of that yard and into a wooded area to the east of Burton Street. We attempted to search the wooded area, however, it's very dense woods. Beginning to wind, we attempted to do an aerial search with a drone to try to locate this animal. About the time we were ready to call the search for the animal off, we got a report that the dog was on Castleman Street. The dog was located in a yard in the 600 block of Prescott Street. The yard was fenced on 3 sides, so the dog was contained. In the meantime, as this incident developed, a ex-girlfriend of the dog's owner had shown up. We were able to determine that this was a former owner of the dog, if you want to put it that way. We were able to determine who the dog allegedly belonged to, who the dog had allegedly been in custody of at the time of the bite. That woman showed up on Prescott Street, and with her assistance, she was able to calm the dog down enough to get a leash around the dog's neck. We then put the dog into a dog carrier, and it was transported by animal control to a vet.
So the owner will be cited?
We have to find the owner first. I'm not going to speak to any charges at this point because there's several people involved in this, and it's a bit of a convoluted mess.
And what is the police department's policy on, I guess, tasering a dog, shooting a dog?
Well, no one wants to shoot the dog in the first place. But if the dog's vicious and it's a danger to other animals or human beings, especially, this dog had already bit someone, we're going to use lethal force if necessary. We tried, like I said, we tried to lure it out with food, we tried to snare it, we tried to taser it, and the only time we decided to shoot it was when that dog was charging at one of our officers. And it's an unfortunate deal. No one wants to go to work and say, I'm going to shoot a dog today.
And then the last thing, so now is it up to animal control to determine what happens next through their vicious dog policy, or?
I don't know what the disposition of the dog will be, but I would say that we'll be investigating any charges against the owner or the individual that had custody of the dog in conjunction with animal control.